All right, so now I want to talk to you about how it is that we come to an agreement. There are times in all of our relationships, but most especially in our most significant relationships, where we get sideways with each other. We don't see from the same point of view. We don't understand it the same way. It doesn't feel like we're working together. We may be at cross purposes. We experience a conflict, and we want to be able to address that conflict in such a way that we get to a place where we're going to act together in a manner that supports each other's well-being. So I want to share this slide with you as a way of talking about how it is that we come to agreements with each other. I'm going to actually pull the whole thing up here so that you can see this more easily. Whenever we have a conflict with somebody, it is in the context of a relationship. And one of the first questions is going to be, who are we to each other? What is the nature of our relationship? Do we understand the relationship the same way? Are we operating by the same rules of engagement? And if we're not, that becomes the reason for the conflict. We're not clear about what we can expect of each other. But even if we're clear, that doesn't mean that it always works out the way we thought it was going to, because there are certain circumstances that arise. There's something that happens that we see in different ways. And so we have to get clear about, okay, what is it we're talking about? What is the issue here? What event just happened? Can we be clear about that? Now, if we're actually responding to the same thing, we already know that we see it differently. If we saw it the same way, it wouldn't be a conflict. A conflict, and the intensity of the conflict, comes from the fact that we both care about it and we see it differently. If we didn't care about it, it wouldn't be a big deal. So it becomes a question of when this happens, how does this affect me? How does this affect you? Can we have a conversation in which we understand where each other's coming from? This is the heart of the issue. And so we're going to come back to this because if we can't do this, we can't go on. But this piece here is a matter of coming to a place where we can see where each other's coming from as valid for the other. It doesn't have to be valid for me, but I have to see how it's valid for them. And I have to trust that they can see how my perspective is valid for me. Once we do that, then we can say, okay, well, what do we all need? What do we both need? What does the system need? And in order to create that, what is it that we're each going to do? What commitments can we each make that will create what we both need? Now, as I said here, it's this middle piece here. What is the effect on each of us? So we're going to moving to the next level, or to kind of drilling in on that, the effect on each of us. For me to be able to tell you how it is that I'm being affected, I have to know how it is that I'm being affected. I have to be able to be with myself and rest with my own awareness such that I can really get what's going on with me. I understand. What are the emotions that are arising for me? What does this remind me of? How is this connected with traumas from my past? The more depth I can see this with, the more connected I am with myself, the greater the chance that I'm going to be able to let you see what's going on with me. But even if I fully understand what's going on with me, I still have to be able to tell you what's going on with me. I have to language it in such a way that it's going to make sense to you. So can I talk about it in a way that other people will get me? And is it really going to be safe for me to say? Because I may be very clear about what's going on with me, and I think I can tell you about it, but if I do, I'm going to get such pushback that it's just not safe to bring it up. So I want to be able to know myself, talk about myself, feel safe to let you know, but at some point, you're going to talk. At some point, I'm going to hear you telling me how it is that you feel, and at that point, I have to be able to manage my own anxiety such that I can actually hear what's going on with you. Because if I keep saying, oh, no, you're wrong, but you didn't, if I keep interrupting you and what you're saying, I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get you. I'm never going to understand why you are who you are, seeing things the way you do. And I'll never be able to mirror back to you who you are in such a way that you're going to say, oh, okay, yeah, you get me. You understand what's going on with me. Right? So we need to have all 5 of these skills if we're going to get to a place where we really understand where the other person's coming from, and understanding them, then we can share with them who it is that we are, and get to a place where we could say, okay, well, what is it we both need, or what we all need, you know, in the whole, what does this whole system needs, and what are we each going to do that's then going to create what we all need. Okay? So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to heal from these broken relationships by being present to each other, such that we get each other, such that we each know the other's perspective as valid for the other. All right?